Hi guys, it's Emma here. You probably can't see me right now, but hopefully you can see my screen because the reason I'm going live this afternoon is to do a very impromptu mini training. I've been inspired by a meeting that I had with a client of mine this morning. We were talking a lot about branding because she's looking to start her first online business, and she came to meet me to have a chat about how to get started with that. And it's some of the things that came to light made me think, like, gosh, if you haven't been through this process before, then knowing where to start is probably one of the most difficult things. So I wanted to share with you this short training, short but sweet, and I'm going to cover off the three things that you really, really need to know before you start creating your brand, or like way before you even start to think about logos and websites and all of that kind of sexy stuff, which I know is the fun bit. Just before we get started, I'm just going to double check that this is live streaming okay and that you can see
sexy stuff, which I know is the fun bit.
Cool. Yeah,
just before we get started,
we're all good. We're all good. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to dive right in because I'm sure you're all keen to start your long bank holiday weekend. We've got Monday off in the UK, which is super exciting. So here we go. Three things you need to know before you start to create your brand. So firstly, just a little intro. If we are meeting for the first time, who am I then? Why am I here talking to you about branding? Well, first of all, I have spent over a decade working in branding and marketing agencies. So I've got a lot of experience working with startup companies, building a brand from scratch, but also working with some of the biggest brands in the whole world. So I've worked with Coca-Cola, Johnson & Johnson, I've worked with KPMG, lots of the big household brands, from Procter & Gamble, Unilever, Reckitt Benckiser, across a whole load of different industries. So got a lot of experience working with brands of all different sizes. But what I really love is working with brands who are just starting out and just building their brand, or they're quite new into their business. I've also worked as a commercial marketing consultant, and I actually worked for a company that were responsible for launching new brands into the UK supermarkets. So lots of food and drink brands. If I walk into a supermarket tomorrow, I can see a lot of the brands that I was initially responsible for helping them create their brand and build that to a place where they are now being stocked on the shelves where you guys can buy them. And then aside from that, following a long career in marketing, I went on to build my own online business. So I'm an online entrepreneur. I run a health coaching business myself. I'm a qualified nutritionist and PT as well. So those are personal interests for me. But my main business nowadays is working as a business strategist and success coach for entrepreneurs, visionary entrepreneurs that want to quit their 9 to 5, which, as we all know, is more like a 7 to a 9 these days, and create more freedom, fulfillment, and wealth in their life. So having all of those things and being able to live life on your terms, that's what I'm all about, and that's why I'm here. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about myself all day. What is the first thing then that most business owners do when they start a business? So exactly as the title of this presentation says, the first thing that people always do is they launch into logo design and website design. And I totally get it. Like, it's the sexy thing. It's the exciting bit that you want to do when you first start creating. You want to see your name in lights. You want a fancy logo. You've got some friend of your brothers or sisters that's just got into graphic design, and they, you know, they've offered to do something on the cheap for you. Okay, and then of course you hire a website development team and you start building websites and things like that, which is all, like, obviously this has a place in branding, but it's not the first place to start. And in order to create a really long-standing brand and something that is meaningful, there are a few things that you need to do first before you go into that process, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So what is a brand then? Actually, before we go into that, I just want to talk about the three things that you need to know. So first of all, your logo is not a brand. Okay, a logo is not the same thing as a brand. So when I have people coming to work with me for the first time and I ask them, what stage are you at with your branding? They'll say to me, oh yeah, I've got a logo, everything's done. Okay, a logo is not a brand. It is a part of it, and I will explain more about that shortly. The second thing that you really need to know is that you need to build sales in your business before you build brand awareness. That's the second thing that I'm going to talk you through today and why that's so important. And third and final thing is that you, as a business, have to sell transformation, not information. If you want a profitable business that is able to command higher fees and you're not just selling low priced information packages, you need to understand this concept. This is so important. So first things first then, why a logo is not a brand, and what is a brand then? So essentially a brand is the personality of your business. So if you imagine your business was a person, like they're actually human, they would have a name. So hopefully by now you've come up with a name for your business. That's generally the easier part. But they also have a style as a personality. Like, how do they come across visually? What is it that they wear? What do they dress themselves up in? So what does your logo look like? What does your imagery style look like? And this should always be consistent. So it's really important that you get a good branding expert and have a good branding photo shoot done by somebody that understands personal branding as well. So the other thing is, what does the brand stand for? Like, what is its values? What is it that it believes in? Because people will be drawn to your business if your values are the same as their values. Like the age-old saying goes, people buy from people. So if they believe in the same things that you do and their values are the same, then you're going to connect on an emotional level, and people buy with emotion and how it makes them feel. The other thing about your brand is, like, okay, who does it hang out with? If it was a person, who does it hang out with? And what I mean by that in terms of your brand is, who is your target market? So who is it that you work with? Who is your specific type of ideal person that you can help? You cannot help everybody as a business. You can help a certain type of person with a certain type of problem. And if you try and appeal to a broad audience of everybody, you're going to end up with a diluted message that doesn't appeal to anyone. So you need to be speaking to one person and attract many, rather than speak to many people and attract nobody. And the other thing about your brand is, how does it communicate? So if it was a person, it would have a communication style, like the language it uses, the way that it communicates itself, the kind of vibe in which it communicates itself. All of these things are really important. And this all makes up your brand. So not just the actual visual aspect of the logo, but all of these things together should be part of the process that you go through when you're creating your business. So let me explain then using an example here. So I've taken my own brand as an example, because obviously I can explain that to you and how I developed that. So the symbol, the visual symbol and logo for my business is this little symbol here, and it's called a Metatron, which probably sounds a little bit like something out of Transformers, but it's actually a geometric symbol, very old geometric symbol. And what it actually symbolizes is that it's a map of creation. So about 13 billion years ago, there was something called the Big Bang. So if you've heard of the Big Bang Theory, you'll know what I'm talking about. And this symbol was to explain how that initial energy source created the energy potential for infinite expansion and creation of our world. And the idea of this is that high vibration frequencies from this one initial energy source can create this ripple effect to create other physical matter. So that's the official kind of meaning behind the Metatron. But for me, it kind of represents, yes, it creates sort of creating more from nothing, but also for me, it represents a couple of different things. So you'll see it's got overlapping triangles in the symbol. So the first triangle for me represents why I'm here, what I stand for as a brand. And there's three things that the reason behind why I do what I do. I want to create wealth, I want to create freedom, and I want to create fulfillment. And those are the things that I believe in. I believe in having the freedom to have more time for your family, for things that you love doing, for traveling. I believe in having wealth, and I don't mean being the person with the most money in the whole world. Being wealthy to me is about having financial security, because we all have security as a basic need, but also having the abundance to have the life that I want. So that is different for different people. It doesn't mean you have to be the richest person. Being wealthy is about having enough to live the life that you want to have. And the final thing is fulfillment. It's about actually doing something that you love, that makes you want to get out of bed every day and just be happy that you're here and that you're doing something that really lights you up. So that first triangle represents those three things to me. Overlap that with the second triangle, which actually represents my unique approach. And there are three things that I believe in that you have to have in place for a successful business: strategy, systems, and support. You have to have the right systems and technology to help you run your business, because as a solopreneur, you cannot do everything on your own all the time. You have to have a solid strategy. Like, you cannot just punch in the dark and hope that something's going to come back. You actually have to have an intentional way of doing business that you know is going to guarantee you leads and income, because otherwise you don't have a business, you just have a really expensive hobby. And the other thing is having support. Like, I have had business coaches and mentors for years and years and years, and I will always have a business coach and mentor, because having accountability and support from somebody that has been there and done what you want to do is so important, because it takes years out of your learning if you go and work with someone that actually knows what they're doing, rather than just fumbling around in the dark. So these two triangles overlap and put together creates the 6 pillars of a successful business for me. And the other thing that particularly resonates with me is that the circles in the Metatron, they represent feminine energy, where the lines that join the circles together represent masculine energy. And in business, if you look this up, you can do a Google search on masculine and feminine energies and what that means. And basically, there are different traits that people can have. And you need to have a balance of both in your business. So the masculine can represent things like your structures, your systems, being decisive in the actions that you're taking. Whereas your feminine energies is the things that keep you in flow in your business. So these are, the things that you do a little bit more soulfully each day. And having the balance of the two is what I believe creates that really well-balanced business. So it's that combination of having, the scientific structures and systems, and having a soulful approach that actually makes you feel good to do business, and not just be constantly in that grind. So putting all those things together, you can see why the Metatron for me was an important symbol of my values, my beliefs, and what I stand for as a business. It wasn't just plucked out of thin air. And this is what you need to get clear on in your business before you start creating beautiful logos for logos' sake, is actually having some reason behind your brand and what that stands for. Okay, so the next thing that you need to know is that building sales, not brand awareness, is the key when you're starting out. So a lot of people think, if I raise awareness of my brand, I'm going to get sales. If I have this massive following and I'm putting out a shitload of stuff on Facebook and Instagram and all these things, and I'm posting every day, and I'm, giving all of this, creating all of this noise around my business, that's going to translate to sales. And I can honestly tell you that is not the case. I have had people come to work with me that have got huge social media followings, and I can tell you that they are not making money in their business. A big social following is just an ego thing. It does not necessarily equal sales in your business, because like I said before, you cannot appeal to everybody. You have to have quality, not quantity. So just having a load of people knowing about you isn't enough to have a successful business. When big companies are starting out, like big brands like Apple and you know, Coca-Cola and people like that, they did not start with the whole world knowing about their brand. They had to make sales first. And then when you make sales, then you're raising the awareness and the portfolio of your company. And here's the thing, if we're saying that your brand is a personality, then in order to raise awareness of your brand, you've got to actually give people that experience of your brand. So they've got to have experience of you, of working with you, of actually getting results working within your company. So really, really important, guys, that you understand that business starts with sales, not brand awareness. And the other thing is that you cannot build a brand on thin air. You have to have investment. And if you don't have sales and income coming into your company, then you're not going to have the investment to be able to put that back into building your business and taking people on and building the systems that you need in order to grow. You're only ever going to be yourself if you can't actually invest in your company and take it to that next level. So the third and final thing that you need to know is that you have to sell transformation, not information, okay? There is enough places to get information for free, okay? It's called the World Wide Web. Nobody needs to pay for information in these day and age. If you want to create profit and sustainability in your business, you need to be somebody that creates transformation. Like, there's not a lack of knowledge in the world for people. It's just that they don't know what to do with that and how to implement it and have the accountability to see it through, okay? Something that a mentor of mine said to me like 10 years ago is, and I'll always remember this, it always sticks with me, is that you have to sell the sizzle and not the steak, okay? No one's interested in a cold bit of raw meat on a plate. But you stick that steak in a griddle pan and it's on the coals, the smells and the experience and everything that comes with that, that is the sexy bit, okay? So you should always be selling the sizzle and not the steak. And how does that apply to business then? So I see this so much with companies where they talk about what it is they do and how they do it. They don't talk about why they do it. So for instance, in my business, I could say to you, right, well, I create marketing funnels, sales funnels, I do social media, I do branding, I help people to launch their business. Of course, yes, I do all those things, but that's not going to excite somebody to work with me. That's not what they're looking for. It's the thing that is exciting about what I do is what all those things enable. And at the end of the day, doing all those things and creating a successful business, it enables people to have freedom. It enables them to have more money, to work less. Those are the things that my business is all about. It's not about what I do or how I do it. It's about why I do it. I do it because I believe that people should be able to escape the confines of their 9 to 5 and do something they love and be able to make more money and work less. It's that simple. And that's the way that I communicate with people. And every big brand in the world understands you have to start with your why, like why you do what you do. And like, let's take the biggest brand ever as an example, Apple. Okay, if you read Apple's brand promise, their statement to people, this is what they say, okay? Everything we do, we believe in changing the status quo and doing things differently. Okay, that's why they do what they do. They then go on to say, we challenge the status quo by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. That is how they do it. And finally, we just happen to make great computers. That is what they do. Okay, so you can see the difference. You can see how inspiring that is when a company says, like, we believe in changing the status quo. Everyone that believes the same thing is going to put their hand up and go, yes, Apple, I believe in that too. If they went out there just saying, oh, hi everyone, we make great computers, do you want to buy one? It's just not going to float anyone's boat. So when I'm talking about transformation, not information, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about selling your reason for doing what you're doing and asking yourself all the time, like, how can I create the best outcome and transformation for my clients? And that's what it's all about. Okay, so that's we've already gone through that side. So I think that's it, folks. I hope this has been helpful. Obviously, I'm really, really passionate about this. This is like such important stuff to start your business with. If you've got any questions about this at all, or you want to have a chat with me one-to-one, just drop me a message and we can arrange a time to talk. And all that's left to be said is have an amazing bank holiday weekend if you're here in the UK. And I will catch you all soon. Take care for now.